A very good afternoon to all of you and welcome on our Sunset Safari live from the Masai Mara here in Kenya as well as in South Africa in the Sabi Sand. It's another glorious afternoon and is absolutely stunning out here. Still threatening to rain, but that's okay. It's holding off so far. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon, Chandre is on camera with me for the first time in a very, very long time. And we are going to go and find the Sausage Tree Pride, where Brent left them this morning, and see whether or not they have any luck with searching for dinner. Now, because this is a live safari, please send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Oh, come on, Buffalo. Ah, dear. Seems to be a constant theme this afternoon. We tried to avoid that as our opening shot, but there was just no getting away from it. Hey boys, when we first drove down this road, they were all standing in the middle of it looking like something out of a western. All 5 of them standing next to each other staring at us in that inscrutable way that buffalo do. Okay, no time to waste. The rain is coming, and those lions are going to start hunting as soon as it does rain. So we're going to start scooting over in that direction. We're not going to linger for too long. It's quite far away. So off we go. Now I believe, and he may correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that today is James's last drive in the Mara. He will be returning to Juma after this. So he's going to be out this afternoon as well. I'm sure taking and soaking in the last of the Mara atmosphere. It's obviously not goodbye to the Mara forever, but he will be on his way back to Juma. Which I'm sure he's excited and sad about in equal measure, but I'm sure he'll tell you all about that. Whoa, bumpy, bumpy. Alice, you still there? There we go. There we go. Okay. Marvelous. Alice is there. I can hear her. She can hear me. Which means I can hear your questions as well. This particular patch of road is rather tricky when the rains come. Oh, have I made a grievous error? No, I haven't. Okay, well, I spoke a little bit earlier about... Hi, guys. That was a very enthusiastic wave. We spoke earlier about the fact that this afternoon is James's last drive in the Mara for now. Let's go and find out how he feels about that.
Sad. Grateful for the time I've had here. Let's go back to the baboon, please. Hi, babe. Good afternoon, everybody. This is my last drive in the Mara, not forever, I hope, just for perhaps a little while. We don't know when I'll be back. There still seem to be rumours floating about that I am leaving Safari Live. I am not. I don't know why. Look how scandalised the baboon is at the thought of it. I'm just going back to Juma, and I will be doing various things there. So nothing changes. Panic not, for those of you who care, and for those of you who are now sad that I'm not leaving. I'm sorry to have ruined your afternoon. My name is James Hendry, and, well, I'm most appreciative to have Batters on the back of the car today. Hello, Batters. There we are. Wonderful. He will be filming me for the last drive that I do here in this particular suite of Mara safaris. Good. You can talk to us, of course, on the hashtag Safari Live or in the comment section of the YouTube broadcast. Please let us go back once more to the magnificence of the olive baboon, which I shall miss very deeply, of course, because the olive baboon is the best looking of this kind of baboon. It's not quite a mandrill, but It is, I think, the best-looking baboon when compared with the yellow or Chacma varieties. He's a stockier fellow. He's got that nice ruff around his head. And they just smile more, don't they, Craig? Anyway, there's a whole troop of them the other side of the road as well. And they are sitting, scratching themselves, shouting at each other, picking ticks off each other's backs, giving each other massages, talking amongst themselves of the scandal of the day. Have you seen those lions? Yes, I have. They've been fast asleep. Now, I am most looking forward, of course, to getting back to Juma to see some of my favourite leopard characters. That'll be the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. And Byron, me old pal Byron, is looking for those leopards as we speak, and he'd like to tell you all about it.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome down to Juma, down in South Africa. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is, of course, VM. Now, we are indeed searching for leopards. Now, Tristan had an amazing morning. He had 3 leopards, he had lions, so it was definitely a cat morning for Tristan. Now, I'm actually in search of Mvula, a big male leopard that we do see from time to time on Safari Live here in Juma. And somebody driving into camp saw him drinking at a little mud wallow just off the side of the road, just next to us. There you can actually see he drank there. But that section of soil around that water hole is very, very hard because of the rain that we've had recently. So I can't see which direction he's gone. I'm trying to look very carefully on the roads to see if we can't find a track of him, and hopefully we get to see him this afternoon. I'm just going to spend a short while searching here. If we don't find him, I'm going to try possibly for Tandi, or we'll go and have a look and see if those other leopards are still around on Chitwa. So I'm hoping to show you at least one leopard this afternoon. So we'll try our best and see. Now, it's still very overcast and cloudy, and you saw this morning it was quite chilly, so it's actually still very chilly, and that's why I think this male leopard is busy moving around in the afternoon, because it is quite cool. So he'll be moving around looking for water as he's done and move on. Now, we actually mentioned this the other day. VM and I were discussing it about, because of the rain that we've just had, there are a lot of these little pools that have formed all over. So leopards and lions don't necessarily have to go to the big water holes anymore, or animals in general. They can get water just from these little pools. So it does make it a little bit harder to find the animals, because they won't always go to the big dams. And in the past we've been searching around the dams and we have had luck finding leopards and that there, but at the moment
Oh dear, well, perfect timing, because we've got something really absolutely stunning to show you. So we apologize for the sudden disappearance of Byron, I think, but you are back in the Mara and looking at, well, one of the most spectacular poses I think I've ever seen from a giraffe. Standing right on top of a ridge, the sun just starting to poke through the clouds. It really doesn't get prettier than that. Gives you such a sense of vast open space. Look at that. I know I said I wasn't lingering, but I definitely could not drive past that. It's so beautiful. It looks like something out of a painting or a dream. Exactly, Scottish. You're on the same page as I am. It does look like a painting, doesn't it? There's something so striking about that image. It really is absolutely beautiful. I said I wasn't lingering, though, so off we go. I couldn't pass up that opportunity. And I don't think Genre would ever have forgiven me if I had. I do wish I had a camera though. Philip, that's an interesting one. So the answer is not completely wiped out, but yes, introduced diseases from other species can be very, very dangerous to the animals out here. The best example is the Mara's population of wild dog, which is essentially non-existent. There's a pack of 7 apparently somewhere around Naibosho, which is that way, and there are 2 that wander around, 2 older wild dogs that wander around here. We've never seen them, we've never managed to get them on camera, but that would be a really good example of a population that has been largely wiped out due to interactions with domestic dogs, canine distemper and rabies. And those are the 2 things that are really serious threats to the African wild dog population. And you'll find that certain cattle-borne diseases, things borne by goats, sheep, all of the possibility of transmitting to other animals, but it's something that is guarded quite carefully against, and there are lots and lots of programs to ensure that it doesn't happen. So nothing's been properly wiped out in terms of the sort of the more commonly known mammal species. But yes, introduced diseases, the rinderpest wiped out quite a few wild antelope populations. There's our giraffe. Thank you so much for posing earlier. Lovely creature. Okay, let's go from one very tall land-based mammal to something with feathers that flies.
Something with feathers that flies. I bet none of you guessed what that was. It's a bird. In case you were wondering, this is a babbler of some description. And, well, I have to admit to not knowing which babbler it is. Hang on 1 second. No, maybe it's not a babbler. Hang on. This is most confusing. Let me train my binoculars on it. I just don't want it to fly off. I know it's behind a termite mound now. What a spectacular looking bird. I'm just going to try and roll forward. Oh, come on. Yes, there we go. There we are. What on earth? I must apologize, everybody. I don't know what that is. I just assumed it was a babbler. But it is not. Rita, you say it's a new bird for you? Well, yes, I bet it is. It's a new bird for me, possibly to science. Do you think it's a new bird to science, Craig, or do you think somebody else has managed to see it before? Yeah, I'm sure somebody else has managed to see it before. Scottish has said a white-headed babbler. No, it is definitely not a babbler. I've looked at all of the babblers, and it is not one of them, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for your suggestion. There we have a very nice picture of it. It's got a hugely heavy bill. Let me check this little thing here. Yes, loves 3 dogs. You say it has a finch-like beak. It does have a finch-like beak indeed. It is but it's a very heavy finch-like beak. Right, well, is that what it is? Wait 1 second. I drink Coke. I think that you might have been the victor in this. You think that is a white-headed buffalo weaver. It is a white-headed buffalo weaver. I've just looked it up on my bird app, and there it is. And I should have got that, of course, because its heavy bill immediately reminded me of the buffalo weaver. And then I thought, no, it can't be. That is fantastic. A white-headed buffalo weaver. Is it still there? It went behind the mound? I don't think we need to look at the picture on the It doesn't look nearly as good as this. White-headed buffalo weaver. Thank you. How magnificent. Now, the original reason that I stopped here was not for this bird, but for some reedbuck, which have now absconded, but I don't care. The white-headed buffalo weaver. Great. Well done, everybody. Amazingly orange buttocks. Great. Okay, we're going to go from, let me be as cryptic as Jamie was, something feathered that flies, to something enormous and grey with a trunk and a floppy skin.
Very cryptic. In fact, I think it would be very difficult to work out exactly what James meant by that, with the trunk and the floppy skin. It's a pretty description, though. I've never thought of elephants as having floppy skin. I have to say, traffic in the Mara is just a nightmare on a Saturday afternoon. Don't you agree, Jean-Andre? Horrendous. I mean, first it was the buffalo, then it was the giraffe, now it's the elephants. Life is tough. You've got to get out early if you want to get anywhere. Your attention will be arrested by all sorts of beautiful sights, like this herd of elephants that numbers probably 30 plus, all wandering past us. It smells delicious, by the way, when you sit in the middle of an elephant herd like this. It smells of fresh grass. I love the smell of elephant. It is one of my favorite smells in the entire world. I'm going to take a gap while we have it. I'd love to stay, but we do actually have to try and get to those lions before. I think actually we're going to be lucky with the rain. Hey, you. Coming through. Totally relaxed. I'm going to sneak through here while I've got the opportunity. Let's go back over to South Africa to go and find out whether Byron has any leads on his search for Mvula.
Unfortunately, not yet. I've been checking around this area, and like I say, the problem is I don't know which direction he went. I've got no idea. There are no clear tracks on the roads. So I think he possibly just cut through that block away from the pan, but it's so big and it was quite a while ago, so he could be anywhere now. But it was worth us just coming to have a look. You never know. He could have gone and laid down somewhere, but unfortunately no sign of this leopard. But I'm not going to give up my search for leopards just yet. Going to try some of those other leopards that Tristan had. Oh, it was a pity. I would have really liked to have seen that big male leopard. It's got really beautiful eyes. One of my favorite leopards here on Juma. So let's see what else we can find. It was an exciting start. It's always nice to hear that there's a leopard in the area, and you can go and have a look. But sometimes if they move off, you all know how easily they can disappear. Especially in this dry grass at the moment, they really blend in and they can vanish in no time. If he had at least crossed the road, or we knew which direction he went, it would have made it a bit easier for us to possibly try and find him. But to have no idea. There's no tracks anywhere in that vicinity. Like I said, the soil sometimes gets compacted after a bit of rain. And that area around that pan where he drank, even where he drank, I can't see any tracks of where he drank at all. Eleanor's Forest, you asked what is the temperature today here at Juma. Well, it's about 22 degrees Celsius. That's about 71 degrees Fahrenheit. So, nice cool afternoon. We always joke around and say maybe our thermometer is slightly off, because I know in winter it was giving us temperatures that we felt were a little bit higher than the temperature actually was. Funny, just driving around at the moment, I can already see a bit of a change happening in the vegetation just from that bit of rain that we had. And this is actually a nice little spot. If I just have a look at those clearings just outside camp, we're not too far from camp now, but just have a look across there quickly and you can see, look at that green bit of I suppose the green grass, just those little shoots coming through. You can see a change already in the vegetation. And that is something I really enjoy about this time of year, after those first rains. And I remember when I worked permanently in this area, if you went on leave around this time of year, you'd go away for 2 weeks and you got back, and I just remember seeing the change. It was amazing to see the change, how quickly the bush changed and rejuvenated, and you saw all this green foliage. It's beautiful, and by December it's going to look really lush and green. So hopefully we get a lot more rain. Good for the animals, good for the vegetation, and it makes this vast landscape come to life. I really do enjoy it. You can see some of the marula trees already that we've seen. We've seen the leaves coming out. So pretty soon, about December, January maybe, we'll start munching on marula fruit. Tasty little snack when you are driving through the bush. Now, it is apparently James's last drive in the Mara, but I'm sure he's excited to get back down to South Africa, to Juma. I'm looking forward to his return, but I'm sure he'll probably be up in the Mara again at some point. Let's go across to him now and find out what his plans are for the last drive and what he's up to.
Well, it strikes me that I've been slightly reticent about giving you my plans. My original plan was to find the Angama pride, where we found them this morning. I don't think they've moved, so they're very flat cat and they're in the middle of a block. We're going to go past two males that we had earlier today. Hopefully we'll be able to see them. If not, we're going to go towards where the Olololo pride stashed their cubs. Jamie spent a long time patiently waiting and eventually managed to spot tiny little baby lions way up north. And I've been back there twice. I think she's been back twice as well, and they haven't come out again. So we're going to go and see if we can't see the little baby lion up in the northern reaches of the Mara Triangle. That is my plan. I must apologize for not giving it to you earlier. That was a grey hornbill flying over us, but it was because I was so bereft, so utterly destroyed at the thought of this being my last drive. I'm not really, of course. Let us have a look at my favorite antelope of this area. Do you see them? Do you see them, batters? There they are, the Topi. Beautiful Topi. And there. I tell you what else I'm looking forward to is this sort of greater enthusiasm with which the birds of the Greater Kruger National Park greet the day. Now, they're actually not more enthusiastic. All it is that they are in thicker wooded areas, and so there are more of them than there are in these little clearings. The reason I am getting a little tongue-tied about this is that I'm looking at a vehicle that has stopped. That's how we track here in the Mara, and wondering if it has stopped for anything of great significance, like a leopard or a cheetah or a bushveld gerbil. Sinak, you're wondering about my favourite animal moment in the Mara. Well, I think that's really difficult. I don't like questions like that because it becomes difficult to kind of figure out. I nearly turned the wrong way then Craig would have looked askance at me. I think those crossings have been pretty amazing. The cheetah that we've seen, I think that Black Rock Pride and their little cubs have certainly been a huge highlight for me. We've spent most of the time that we've watched the crossings this time round, of course, have been from the river camera, so not from the vehicle. Chandra and I had some astounding sightings last year from the vehicle of the crossings. So I'm not going to count the crossings this year. I think, in fact, the very first drive, was it the first drive I took here? I think it was, with Chandra, and we went off to the north to just have a sort of scout around, and the Angamas killed a wildebeest right in front of us. That was pretty amazing, and, just trying to think if that's been topped. Yeah, I mean, you know what, for me, while we've had a huge amount of action in the Mara, we've seen countless kills and that sort of thing. For me, as always, it's the landscapes and the kind of peace of nature that are my favourite bits. Just driving down from the camp through the forest, for me, is a real highlight. So I can't see, Nak, I'm afraid I can't pick you a dead favourite. But for me, it's being able to see this kind of space, which I just found so amazing and so inspiring and so kind of humbling, I guess. It does tend to fill one with gratitude that a place like this still exists in a world that is so tumultuous on account of all of our activities as human beings. Justin, what a very good question. You say, will I miss the rain? I actually will, and I'll tell you why. The reason I'll miss the rain, of course, is that now the vehicles are beautifully kitted out with some spectacular tarpaulins, and I think they're now waterproof. And in fact, not one drop of rain has fallen from the sky since this vehicle became waterproof. And so I think that actually now rain's not going to be much of an issue. It certainly has been an issue, but it's not going to be any more. So I may not miss the rain, but I won't be that relieved not to see it, because, of course, a bit of flooding now and then is not a bad thing, especially in Africa, where things tend to be very dry most of the time. Alrighty, let's continue along here. And Louise at Juma has made a very good point. She says, I won't have a chance to miss the rainy season because I'll be going back to Juma during the rain. I tell you what has been a real highlight for me this year. It's the first year I've ever kind of escaped winter. And I've always thought, being a swallow that lives half in the northern hemisphere and half in the south, must be wonderful, and we managed to do that this year. I went off for my little holiday in Italy, which was great, just at the beginning of the cold season at Juma, and then we came here where it really doesn't get very cold. It was coldish, but certainly not freezing. And now I'm going back to Juma, and the other double sort of joy of it is that I've skipped September and October at Juma, which was so beastly hot without rain, and now it's started to rain, so I've really been very lucky with the seasons. Alright, that's enough waffling from me. Let's go across to Jamie. I don't know what she has. Alice did tell me, but I'm afraid my small brain was speaking at the time, and so I don't know what it is.
And of course, I wanted to surprise you with what it was, but then it ducked behind some leaves. It is a mouse bird. It is, in fact, a collection of mouse birds. And whilst, of course, we all know that the collective noun for most birds is a flock, I really think we need a better name for a collection of mouse birds. We need mice birds. Mice birds, I like that. Yes, okay, fair enough, Chandra, fair enough. I was going with collective noun, but mice birds works. Mice birds. It's the lovely thing about the ones that we see here in Kenya. Whilst it is exactly the same species of mouse bird as it is back in South Africa, they have a little white cheek patch. And we've had many disagreements, Brent and myself, about the fact that I think that the mouse birds here are bigger than the ones in South Africa. It's the same species, it's still a speckled mouse bird. But I think they're a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger than the ones that we see in South Africa. They're called mouse birds. Mice bird. No, Chandra, what have you done? Mouse birds, because supposedly the idea is that they look like little mice when they all squash together in their sweet little way. Very cute. Okay, I'm going to carry on towards my cats, of course. I was going to try and insert a clever mouse game. Let's go across to Byron, who's playing a cat and mouse game with a leopard.
Yeah, it does feel like the cat and mouse game. You know, but it's still early. Nice afternoon. Pardon? Sorry, Lou, am I live? Sorry everyone, so we still live. I thought we'd cut away from me. Now, we were just saying what a beautiful afternoon it is. It's nice and sunny. Well, the sun's breaking through now all of a sudden, but it is still cool. And I'm hoping that we have some luck with a leopard this afternoon. We're just saying, would it be nice to see. I'm just trying to think. There's some Impala over there. Hold on a second. Sorry, I don't want to drive over this little open area here. It's a bit of a sodic site, so do try, but be sensitive with that. But I'll actually want to go down that other road. Now, Tristan, after drive, caught a glimpse of Thandi. So she was down near Twin Dams, but she moved off. So I'm going to go have a look around there first too, just see maybe we've got some sign of where that leopard went. It'd be nice to see a female leopard. Haven't seen her for quite a while. And there are some Impala over here to my right. Have a look here. Now this is actually really lovely. We've got beautiful light on these Impala at the moment, and why I'm saying that it's so lovely is because if you look closely you can see some rather large bellies on these females, and that's because I would guess that they are all pregnant at the moment. The one on the left there doesn't really look pregnant. Now, the reason I say that is because the Impala, they generally give birth around the same time of year. So it's about middle to late November. That's usually when the Impala lambing season is. So most of these females will give birth around that time. So it's very exciting when we do start seeing all these Impala lambs popping up. And maybe, as I said, there's definitely one female there that doesn't look pregnant, looks quite old. I don't think she's pregnant. Philip, just getting back to your question, you wanted to know if any animals keep us awake at night. The only one really are the hyena. They'll often come into camp at night if we're not careful. If we leave a bin out, a dustbin, then they'll raid that dustbin. So we've got to put everything away. Otherwise, the hyena come in and raid the camp. So they can sometimes keep us awake at night. But that's about it. Sometimes we hear leopards calling, we hear lions calling in the distance too. So, but I wouldn't say they keep us awake. It's just always nice to hear those sounds at night. All right. Well, speaking of the call of lions, James apparently has found some lions that he would like to show you.
I'd love to say I found them. I just drove us into the general area where they were this morning, and then Batters, with his unbat-like eyes, managed to spot them lying under that tree. We can't go any closer. We're not allowed off-road in this area. So there they are, two males of the Triangle Boys Coalition of male lions, and heading towards them right now as we speak is a Thompson's gazelle. I don't think he's actually going to go towards them. In fact, he's turned around and gone the other way. But we were just considering, would a lion, male lion, be able to take out a Thompson's gazelle? And I think we both agreed that it would be highly unlikely unless the Thompson's gazelle tripped over them. They are seriously fast. And some elephants and zebra in the background, and typically the abundance of the Mara is just quite astounding. There's something going on up ahead in terms of a sighting. I'm not sure what it is. I can just see quite a lot of people milling about. It may well be the females of the pride. We'll go and have a look. Shall we go and have a look, Craig? Do you want to have a look? I bet you do. Hello, Aidan, aged just 6 years old. You're wondering about the impala and what they eat. Impala eat grass and they eat the leaves of trees. They're very clever, and it's one of the reasons there's so many of them in South Africa, is that they are able to eat grass, and so when the grass isn't good, then they'll go to the trees and they'll eat those leaves. And very few animals can eat grass and leaves of trees. Most animals have to eat one or the other. We're just going to try and get past this fellow who's very kindly moving out the way for us. How's that doing? Let's nip up ahead here. There seems to be a bit of action. I don't know what they're looking at, but it's something nice, I hope. Maybe a hyena. There are some impala there. I'm not going to stop. I just want to see what's going on up ahead here. Spaz, you're wondering about impalas and the abundance of impala during the rainy season. Would there be an abundance in babies? From what I've seen, and I don't know this for sure, I think that the impala are not nearly as seasonal breeders here as they are in South Africa. I've seen some with youngsters and some without youngsters, and I actually don't know. Maybe the short rains, which come supposedly around November, December in this area, inspire or have over the years sort of synchronized the birthing like the rains have in South Africa. I'm not sure in this area. But remember, no amount of rain is going to attract impala into the area. They are not a migratory species, and it's one of the reasons that you see there are so many fewer impala here than there are at Juma. That's because the only water source here, of course, is the river, which means that if you want to drink, you've got to travel a bit of a way in order to get something to drink. And the impala would prefer to be sedentary around fixed water, which is why there are so many in the Kruger, because of the artificial water points. Let's go down towards these Thompson's gazelles, which are much closer than all the other Thompson's gazelles that we've seen. Good afternoon, Thomson's gazelles. There. And as we discovered the other day, just going to look this up again, of course. We discovered a few facts about William Thompson. I think, was it William Thompson? Joseph Thompson, after whom the Thomson's gazelle is named. He was an explorer, Scottish geologist. And apparently is known for avoiding confrontations with porters and indigenous peoples, which would make him massively in a minority compared with most settlers and explorers in this area. And he had a motto. This is just coming straight from Wikipedia, so anyone can read it. May or may not be true. His motto was, "He who goes gently goes safely. He who goes safely goes far." So that was Joseph Thompson. And although I've said he had nothing to do with any kind of nefarious activities in Africa, I see that he did work for the British South Africa Company, which was run by Cecil Rhodes, possibly one of the most despicable human beings ever to walk the southern African subcontinent. Anyway, we don't need to get into that now. Philip, thank you for asking a question that I don't think I can answer. All right, let's go through it. You say, how do I determine whether to use the terms bovine? What was the second one? Ovine or cervid? Well, cervids are, or cervine. Cervids are deer, as far as I remember, and so I wouldn't use cervid for any of this bunch, because of course they are not, they're not deer at all. As far as I am aware, ovine would, I'm assuming from my very limited knowledge of Latin, refer to sheep and their relatives, which of course this bunch are not. I don't think. No, they're not related to sheep. But they could well be part, and I don't have a mammal book with me, of the subfamily Bovinae. So I suppose, if I'm not mistaken, many of the antelope would fall into the subfamily of the Bovinae, I would say, but I might be talking utter garbage. I must just move out of the way quickly, sorry. There we are. Yeah, very nice car there. Okay, I'll try and find out a little bit more about that, but I think I'm right about cervine and ovine. Whether this group falls into the bovines or whether the antilopinae are not in the same level, above or below, I don't know. I'll figure that out for you. Let's go across to Byron before I tell you the way.
Now we found something really small, not quite a leopard, but something a leopard might try to feed on if it found it. A little scrub hare. Now look at that, it's hiding as it does during the day in the scrub. Now, just under some branches, fallen over branches of that tree. And look at that, very, very well camouflaged. Now they are mainly nocturnal, that's why they tend to hide in the thickets during the day. This one's hiding in there, but we just managed to spot it. All curled up, a little ball of fur, really. A little scrub hair. And as soon as it starts to get dark, that little hair will then become active and go foraging around for food. I've got really large eyes to help them with nocturnal vision, but they lie dead still in the thickets like this during the day, try and hide from birds of prey and some of the cats that might be active. But interestingly enough, if they do get disturbed, they lie dead still, and if any predator gets too close, they will jump up and dart in one direction away from the predator. And that usually happens so quick, the predator, whatever it might be, won't necessarily have time to react, and the little scrub hare should get away. You can see its nose moving. Look just to the left there. You can see its little nose moving up and down, smelling. They probably rely a lot on their sense of smell and their hearing, hence the big ears. Now I'm going to drive around this way. Now, Sinek, you were asking what legomorphs are found both in Kenya and down here in South Africa. Now, I'm actually not sure. We'd have to ask one of the guides that are up in the Mara. I've never been up there, so I don't know. Like I say, I'm not sure what legomorphs they find up there, what hares, rabbits they have around that area. So we'll have to ask James or Jamie or Tayla when she does get out. They know what they see there and what we see here. I'm looking in this area that Thandi was in this morning. Now, apparently she was just near a twin dam. She had a drink and then she moved up through the Mulwati. Now, it's quite a thick drainage line. It's a perfect area for a leopard to hide. So I'm going to be looking around here quite carefully for a while, and then I might just go across to Chitwa a little bit later. Maybe we get some activity from that male lion that Tristan had there. I'm not sure if he moved already. It was cool today. When it is cooler, the big cats do tend to move around a lot more than they used to.
Oh, sorry, we've lost Byron once again, and I'm busy trying to find the lions somewhere around here, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm just double checking on the map exactly where they were, because apparently they were somewhere around here. I managed to find myself a little road, and it's raining, so just bear with me a minute. Okay, according to Brent, they were somewhere here, but it's cool. There's a very good chance that they've moved, which is why I was rushing to get here. And apparently this is the remainder of the sausages, 5 females and 2 young males. I'm a little bit confused. I suspect then that those young males, this rain's getting hard. Aye, lion, no, hyena. Not lion. Hyena. Running from lion? Possibly? Almost certainly. Let us go and investigate. This is the lands of the happy zebra or laughing zebra, or whatever it's called. Happy zebra hyena clan. Oh, this rain's getting bad. But let's go see if we can find these lions first, and then at least we can be still. Let's go find out what you're up to, Mischief. It's the exact direction the lions were in. Okay, I'm going to concentrate on finding us these lions. Let's go and find out how James's beautiful last evening in the Mara is going.
Well, we have an enormous pig over there. Quickly, Craig, before he disappears. Oh, you've got him already. You're very clever. Huge warthog boar. Now, as he disappears there with his, I would say, not his best angle, going into the bushes, I will tell you that my research indicates, of course, that I was, in fact, correct. The Bovidae are a family into which the bovines fit. That includes buffalo and the spiral-horned antelope out here. And then the antilopinae are a different subfamily, which would include the Impala and the dwarf antelope and various other antelope that we have here, and possibly even the gazelles. Thank you so much. Let's continue. Now, we're not far from where we want to turn off this road towards where that cub was, or the very little cubs were. And so we'll keep a sharp lookout for tawny shapes in the grass. I believe it started to rain where Jamie is. Don't worry, she's not going to get wet today. Not with these new covers. She will be very pleased. Because if anybody has spent time in the rain over the last 5 months, Jay Patterson is certainly one of them. In fact, possibly the one. Here's a much better view of an enormous warthog boar. His best angle, I feel. Very nicely framed by the tree there. You are a fine fellow. Keith, you say a warthog's very skittish because you've seen that they are in zoos. Keith, I would say no, not really. I suppose in the wild they are, but they tame very quickly. If you raise a piglet from very young, it will tame completely. And you can have it sitting next to you on your sofa if you wish. Probably you don't wish, but you could. Out here, if I was to get out of this car, that pig would run a long way very quickly. So they are scared of people, but I'm surprised that you say that about a warthog in a zoo. I think you'll find that, that's very strange, because there are lots of lodges around the place where warthogs have got so used to people, they kind of live in the camp. They'll come up onto the grass and sort of be around the camp, and people get very close to them. So I'd say no, by nature they habituate very quickly to people. You can hear that there's not a lot of sound out here, but for the smacking lips of a zebra. That's not really a zebra, that was me just imitating a zebra. Did you notice that, Craig? Or did I fool you into thinking there was a zebra close by? I was fooled. You were fooled. I thought you might have been. Okay, let's move on. Oh no, we can stay with the zebra. There's a hammerkop with them, looking for frogs and small invertebrates. It's a very, very peaceful scene. I'm surprised Jamie's got rain. I can't see any in the direction that she is, but that means that it will hopefully be quite light, and she won't have to deploy the magnificence of our new covers completely. Very nice. Shall we continue, Craig? Good. Excellent idea. The other thing about the Mara, of course, is that it has so many different kinds of landscape. And I'm just trying to think of my favourite ones. I think my favourite ones would... Hello, Roller. Were probably the area around the Black Rock Pride, and down south of there we went through this amazing kind of well-watered gully, and then the area around the Salt Lick in the Mara Triangle. Both stunning areas of varied topography, rocks and little foresty bits sticking out, and lawns, if you like, around the waterholes. Very, very attractive. Right, we're going to turn down here and see what we can find. Attempt not to get bogged down entirely. Still there, Craig? You didn't fall out? Good, excellent. Now what we're going to do, there's a sort of drainage system along here, and we'll try and see if the little cat is in there or not. While we do that, Byron is still looking for his cat in South Africa, so, well, I hope he finds it with you this time round.
Well, I'm looking for anything really. It's been quite a quiet afternoon so far for us, which is typical. Hornbill. We shall stop and appreciate the hornbill. Beautiful yellow-billed hornbill. We saw some the other day. There's actually quite a few birds around here. I can hear some magpie shrikes calling too. It's beautiful long-tailed shrikes, magpie shrikes. I can't see them now. I think they're in the trees off to my right. But look at that hornbill. Is he cleaning its feathers? There's wonderful light on it at the moment. Nice for photography. If you're into bird photography, you could really capture that yellow beak and the eye and this golden light. All of a sudden the sun has come out, the clouds have disappeared. It started off very cloudy this afternoon, and that's all changed, which is quite interesting. There's a slight breeze blowing at the moment too. The temperature is still very cool, so I still think around 22 degrees Celsius, around 70 or 71 Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. Lovely temperature. It's actually turned into a beautiful afternoon. So now all we need is to find some more animals. We saw some Impala earlier. That was it. I didn't do it. You were asking, or you said you forgot what the hornbill sounds like, and you asked if I could make a sound for you. Just trying to. No, I can't do it, unfortunately. I can't do the hornbill sound, but I will play it for you. I didn't do it. Let me play the hornbill sound for you. Now we've got, three different hornbills that we hear quite regularly around here. But that yellow-billed hornbill, let's play that one for you quickly. I'm just constantly scanning just to see if we have any sign of a predator, leopard. You never know. It's been cool this afternoon, and I think there's been quite a bit of movement from them. There was that male leopard earlier that moved and drank at a little water hole. So there's definitely a sign of predators moving around. So hopefully we have some luck. Let me just find that hornbill for you quickly. And it is the southern yellow-billed hornbill, which is, of course, that one. That's the one we just saw. So I didn't do it. Let me play the call for you quickly. Sorry, VM, is that right? There we go. Hear that? No, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. Very constant call from the southern yellow-billed hornbill. So that's the sound of the hornbill. Often you see them when they do call, they display, they open their wings and they drop their head down and they call like this. It's quite entertaining to watch. I always say I think those hornbills have got such character. I like seeing the hornbills. And when they waddle on the ground, when they walk. Yes, and Louise says, yeah, especially when they steal our lunch. I think Louise and Megan had to run at our lunch table a few times today, chase the hornbills off. They were going after our bread. See, life is tough in Africa. If it's not the monkeys stealing your food, it's the hornbills. Alright, well, it sounds like Tayla has got some audio again, so we can hear her this time. Let's go across and find out what her plan is for the afternoon in the Mara.
Well, Byron, I probably could have just shouted loud enough that the ambient mic could have picked me up, but we decided not to do that today. But yes, we are out finally. The gremlins have given me a break. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And now it's our first drive together in the Mara. Woo! Jing, show me a Coke. Right, but it's a beautiful day. Hopefully we're not going to get rain now. Hopefully it'll be a little bit later once we're all tucked away back in camp, but you can see there's a bit of a haze starting to form. The temperature is starting to cool down, but that doesn't seem to be bothering these very young Eland at the moment. They're quite happy with the weather. I'm sure that they're enjoying it because it's been a little bit humid today, I found. That also could be perhaps because I was running around with my hair loose, and then it feels like I'm wearing 3 scarves. These Eland probably wouldn't feel like that, but aren't they absolutely precious? Look at those floppy ears. They almost look a little bit out of proportion when they're first born. Really big ears, long legs, small body, small head. But that's very, very sweet. You can see them all just starting to get their little horns too. It doesn't take very long for them to start pushing through. A couple of weeks to a month or so, and then you'll start to see them. Now, our Lara Moore, you say, what a nice looking group. It is great to see so many little Eland, and it's a particularly beautiful herd that hangs around on the escarpment. Oh, hello. Playing. That's, of course, that little one is not trying to mate with its friend. It's normally just a bit of dominance. And just like humans, how little kids will play in a playground, you always find that there is one leader that seems to make all of the decisions. I suppose it's like life, isn't it? And the same thing will happen with the animals too. But they are absolutely precious. Still a little bit fluffy. And growing up. They're a variety of ages, probably a couple of weeks, maybe even a few months apart. A little nursery group, not keeping too far away from the adults, though, making sure they stay nice and close, because they would be a meal for a hyena, for a leopard, lots of leopards around these valleys, and of course the lions. And speaking of lions, Jamie has been searching far and wide for the sausage tree pride, and it seems as though a little luck has come her way.
Luck has indeed come our way, but it seems as though I mentioned at the start of Drive that the sausages were apparently hungry. Well, apparently they were so hungry that they simply could not wait for us. So there we go. The, in theory, sausage tree pride. I'm honestly a little bit confused about how that all works. But we've got the 2 young boys. We have seen them before, and they have caught a buffalo. And all of them have obviously been feeding for quite a while, judging by the dirty faces, full bellies, and very sleepy lions that are around us. Now, there is one big male here, and he's obviously been the one who's eaten his fill first, as is always the way. And it's only now that the youngsters have actually had a chance to feed. And it makes me wonder if the lionesses might be hungry. I don't think so, though. I see a couple of bulging bellies. So, young male, true to form, with all teenage boys. They are constantly hungry and got huge amounts of growing to do. Senak, yes, lions will target the old and the sick buffalo. They'll also target the youngsters as well. So really, it is very much dependent. You will see lions, especially a large group of lions such as this one. You will see lions like this targeting healthy buffalo as well. But any older, infirm, I'm now getting very wet, John Ray. I'm going to have to put the covers down soon. Any older, infirm buffalo, antelope, anyone with an injury, absolutely, a predator will target them and will go for them. I'm just going to, I suppose you can watch the lions if you want, but I'm just going to put this windscreen up. I'm more worried about the monitor than anything else. So Alice, I'm just going to be out of comms because my earpiece is far too short to do both. Before the water collects and then drips. There we go. Much better. Now I've got to find my earpiece thing again. There we go. That helps. That helps tremendously. Second young boy up to go and join his brother. These two will be interesting to watch. Because at the worst aim, they are around at about, I would say, 2.5 or so. And I would say in the next 6 months to maybe a little bit longer, maybe 8 months to a year, they are going to be leaving the protection of the pride and making it on their own. And these two will move away together, most likely, in fact, definitely. They will leave together and they will disperse. And it'll be very interesting to see where they end up. It's one of the things that is most intensely studied out here, is the dispersal of the young males, where they go, how far they go away from their home range, far from their natal territory they move. And often it's interesting to watch them to see just how much they follow the migration. So by next year's Great Migration, these boys will most likely be on their own. And off they will go. You can see they've just started to get their manes. Where is this water? Oh, it's the wind. Genre, can I turn around so that we can pop the back to this? That will help tremendously. Well, it's giving the windscreen a much needed clean. I think that will help us. That's why. Wind is gusting it in this way. Okay, we're going to reposition so that we can protect ourselves, or I can protect myself essentially, from the rain. James has had more luck this afternoon and he's found some lions as well.
Again, I'm afraid I drove straight past the thing and Batter said, "There's a lion," which in his language means, "What a fool. Did you not see it over there?" Anyway, there is a lioness, and interestingly, she is on her own. Now, I suspect that this is the mother of the little cubs of the Ololololololololol pride. And as she rolled over, I turned away, so I cannot see if she is a lactating female or not. But I suspect she'll sort of waft over this way fairly soon. And I'm tempted to sit with her for the next little while and see if she doesn't get up and lead us to the little cubs. But we'll see. We may just go and look at the old den site, regardless. Now we also have, can you see on the bush there, Craig? There is a kingfisher. Can you see it? Yes. Now, Craig, what kind of kingfisher do you think it is? No, it's not a pied. Interestingly, I think it's a very dark version of a striped kingfisher. I am 99.99% sure that that is the case. I'm just quickly going through them all to make sure that I haven't missed some species that exists here. No, I haven't. It is the striped kingfisher. Sitting very nicely for us, and its call goes like this. Yes. Then there is also a beef, one of whose cousins, I'm afraid, has fallen victim to the sausage tree pride. He's just over the top of my head. He is a massive buffalo bull. There's not a chance this lioness could take him down. He'd finish her off very quickly. And you might just in the background be able to hear the call of the black and white casqued hornbill. So, quite a lot going on here. Like I say, I think we'll probably sit with this lioness for a little while, and then maybe make a move towards where we think the den site is, but she could easily have moved it by now. Laurie, you want to know the lionesses always use the same den for every litter? Laurie, no, they don't. They will often use dens in similar places. I suspect, for example, those black rock lionesses often use that den site because it's just perfect for lions and it's perfectly safe for the little cubs. I suspect you'll find that the Olololo pride, which is, there's the pride that this lioness belongs to, would probably ply their trade up and down this ditch or drainage line, sort of dry stream to the left-hand side of us, and they will pick a den site in there when they have cubs, but I don't think it will always be the very same den site, no. There's a bit of inclement weather coming in, Craig. We may yet be able to test out the new roof. It would be exciting. Anyway. Alright, I believe that Byron has managed to find himself a wart pig, and he is desperate to tell you all about its biology.
Not that desperate, but I'm excited to show you some warthogs. I do enjoy the warthogs. Now, again, one of the animals that are really enjoying those green grass shoots that have come up already just literally in the last few days because of that rain that we had, and you can see this little area, and this actually is where we had a fire break. And so that's an area that's been burnt to prevent larger fires from devastating entire areas. And because of those fires, a lot of nutrients have been returned into the soil. So after the rains, you get all these fresh green shoots coming up, and that's what these warthogs are busy feeding on at the moment. Now that is quite an impressive male. Not huge tusks, but it is a fairly large warthog, and you can actually see the 4 warts very clearly on its face. You see 2 just behind the eyes there, and then 2 lower down closer to the tusks, and it's a female behind it. Just 2 little warts. Let me just make sure if I get this wrong. I drink Coke. You are asking what is the... Sorry, it's a young male at the back there. It's a young male at the back. Also, just saw the 2 other warts above the eyes. But I drink Coke. You want to know what is the purpose of those warts near the eyes, and it's for protection. These warthogs can get quite aggressive with each other, and those tusks can obviously cause a lot of damage. So it's mainly for protection. There we go. You see, that's a young one, a young male, I mean. But you can just see the 2 warts behind the eyes and the smaller warts lower down. Now, the females only have 2. I'm just trying to think. There were some females. There were definitely some females around the back there. They're moving through that herd of Impala. Aiden, you are 6 years old and enjoying Safari Live with us. I'm glad you can watch. And hopefully you're learning a lot about the animals out here. Now, you were asking what the warthogs eat. So there you can see they are just feeding on those little grass shoots that I've been explaining. Just after the rain, you get all these green grass shoots. So they really enjoy feeding on the grass and roots. Little roots and shoots that are just under the ground. They use their snout. Sometimes they've got quite a hard little snout, and they'll dig up the sand and expose those roots, and that's what they like to feed on too. But these green grass shoots are perfect for them at the moment. They really enjoy feeding on this, so it's a nice time of year after these rains. And beautiful light on that warthog now too, and those tusks glistening in the sunlight. Well, at least our animal count is picking up a little bit, which is good. I'm going to see if we can find some more. Let's go back across to Jamie, who apparently has some lions feeding on something.
We do. Well, we have at least 2 lions feeding on their buffalo. 3 lions, actually. I can just see ahead, giving us the most amazing view of their claws and the way that they pull away the skin from the rest of the carcass. It's tough. It's very, very tough. Look at those claws. Obviously, the chase has led them into a very muddy area. There's lots of water around here, especially after all the rain we've had. And you can actually see the way that the lions have to use their carnassial shear, so using their molars to slice through the meat in a sort of a scissor-like motion, rather than biting with their incisors, which would be next to impossible to pull meat away from the bone. Very, very tough. Eating for them is actually quite a difficult process. There's no tenderizer out here. Oh, look at those claws poking out of their sheath, giving him a little bit of extra traction as he pulls. Miss Parker, you say that the male lions always seem to have more flies on them than the females. That's not something that I've noticed. Perhaps, maybe, especially with the males that are moving about on their own, they haven't had the opportunity to be groomed by the other males, or whereas the females are always in their pride, so they do groom each other. But I don't think there's much of a difference in terms of attraction. I could be mistaken. But I think that you pretty much will find the flies are the same on the males and the females. They're especially bad where those males are, because they're sitting right next to they're feeding on the carcass. And that obviously will attract a number of flies. Whereas the female off to the left doesn't have that many on her, because she's not right on top of it. But she does have flies. You can see them buzzing around her. I mean, we know that mosquitoes are more attracted to men on average than they are to women. It's largely a size thing. I mean, men are just bigger, they produce more carbon dioxide, and mosquitoes are attracted to certain people more than others, and on average that tends to be men. So you might find that there's a similar thing with flies, but I don't think so. It's not something that I've observed. But yes, absolutely, these boys are covered in flies where they're sitting. Oh, yummy. What a wonderful sound. As I said that, he stopped chewing. The worst aim, there is a very good reason why lions and most predators will hunt in the rain, especially out here, and that's because when the rain does come, it comes down in buckets, and that creates a very confusing situation for the animals that are being hunted, because they can't see as well. I mean, when we drive in the rain, if we don't have the windscreen up, we actually really struggle to see because it blows into your eyes. So I imagine it's very similar for the buffalo or the antelope, whatever the animals happen to be hunting. Plus they can't smell as well, and they can't hear very well. And typically when it's raining, the wind is howling. And that's why lions will take advantage of that particular type of weather. So do hyenas. They harass the animals. They will actually harass them to the point of being able to find the weakest link. We were talking earlier about going for the animals that essentially are the weak link. They've got a broken ankle or a broken leg, or perhaps look older or younger. And that's one of the ways that they discover that weakness, is by harassing the herds of animals until they spot something. So all predators will take advantage of this sort of weather. And typically you'll find that the moonless nights or the cloudy nights, especially if there's a storm, is when you get the highest success rate for hunting animals. Oh, poor Tayla has had such a run of bad luck with the gremlins at the moment, but she is out and about, and I wonder how her evening is treating her now that she's out in the Mara.
Well, it's a beautiful evening. There's not a breath of wind. It's quite pleasant. So I'm not too worried. It's a little bit frustrating when the gremlins keep attacking you. You just sort of sit in the car and then everything just falls apart, but we seem to be slowly pulling it back together again, so that's okay. Now there's a couple of vehicles stopped around here. I'm just having a look to see as to what everybody is staring at, because my eyes are either really rotten at the moment, seeing as though Jamie's used the word rotten. I haven't used that word for a long time. I don't know what they're staring at. Just going to scan. Look around here. I see a buffalo skull. Perhaps everybody is looking at what was once a buffalo. I don't know what everybody's looking at. I'm trying to get some direction as to everyone's staring. I don't think that unfortunately is the center of attention this afternoon. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move around. We'll go and chat to the guys and see what they have seen. But I'd like to take Sebastian towards this sort of marsh area and hopefully have a look at the Mara River because he hasn't been down there yet. Anyways, James, however, could possibly have some very interesting animal, reactions between lions and hippos. Let's go take a look.
Well, way to give it away, Tayla. Yes, we do have some lioness heading towards the hippo. She just happens to be going in the same direction. I don't think that they're actually in any way about to have a boxing match. Unfortunately, we can't really see on account of the fact that there are two other vehicles here. Not that they shouldn't be here. There we have the lioness moving away. And I'm not sure where she's going. She's been calling and calling. And I don't think she's lactating. I've had a look at her belly, and she looks to me like she's not lactating. So I don't think she's necessarily going to take us towards the little den site, but maybe we'll be lucky. I am talking in this manner, of course, because we now have an audience of people who are alternately watching me and the lions. Now, that sort of picture I will definitely miss. That wonderful shot of a lion walking through the open plains. Looking for the rest of the pride, definitely. That's why she's been calling. And she's been calling loudly. And then we'll just quickly show you the hippo, because they're quite fun out of the water. She's still calling. Here he goes. I don't know where he's going, why he's out of the water. I suspect possibly because it was a fairly cool day today. Anyway, I think let's carry on and see if we can't figure out what this lion's going to do. Forget you're wondering how far and for how long the lioness will leave her cubs before feeding them. Sometimes up to 48 hours, but it really does depend on how old they are, where she's had to go and kill, where the rest of the pride is. So there really is there's no way of saying for sure. She's still moving. This little hippo is heading down into the drainage line there. Goodbye, little hippo. Little hippo, it's not so little. Let's just move along here. Keep up with her. All the Topi are watching her now. I don't think she's any danger to a Topi with a belly like that on her. She might be lactating, and you know that it might be her first litter, and so her teats could be covered up by fur, and of course, these daisies, sorry about that, or of course the very full belly that she has. Let me just move around the corner here. It'll be a nice picture of her coming this way. And as I say, not an off-road section of the reserve, I'm afraid. She's calling again. I'm just going to stop next to the drainage line here because I think this is the direction she's coming. We also saw another vehicle driving along that side of the drainage line, maybe the other lions or that side. Here we go. We're about to have a great shot here. I say great shot, Craig, I mean relatively good, in that she'll be heading towards us. Are you ready? There we go. Here she comes. She's calling all the time. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We've got Topi and Impala and Zebra watching her coming across the plains. It's interesting, I think the lions here do a huge amount more in the day than they do in the Kruger. That sausage tree pride, time and again we've seen them hungry and sleeping in the morning, come back in the afternoon, they've whacked something. So they definitely do quite a lot of hunting in the day. And this lioness is moving well before sunset, of course. So what we'll do is we'll follow her for as long as we can. Like I say, I'm not convinced she's lactating. And then we'll go back. Oh, looking at her now. No, there's definitely a bit of swelling under that big fat belly. Anyway, if we don't have success with this lioness and cubs, we'll go back along to where she was and then see if we can't head towards the old, or certainly the only known den site that we have. But this calling is not her looking for cubs, this calling is her looking for the rest of the pride. Rita, you're wondering why lionesses roar? Well, it's just to mark their territories. That's why, same reason that males roar. It's to say, here I am, this is my spot, don't come near me, and also, in this case, to contact the rest of her pride. So the rest of her pride may well respond. And you're about to get a lovely shot here of Topi and Zebra and Impala. Let me get my fat head out of the way. There we are, all of them watching her as interestedly as we are. Very nice. Little lovely shot. Whip, you say, so awesome. I agree. Very much awesome. So we up onto Termite Mound maybe and call again. Spaz, you say how far away can the other lions hear her? Ooh, I'd say at about 5 kilometers. I mean, you hear things like 10 miles and 8 miles and 5 miles. I think 5 kilometers as the crow flies is probably, well, maybe a little bit further, but not much further than that. Let's call it an even 5 miles, shall we? 8 kilometers. Now, what is she going to do down there? I think she's going to have a little bit of a drink of some mud. How delicious. Mud to drink. Shall we go a bit closer, Craig? Or are you happy here? Let's go a little bit closer. See her drinking her mud. Is that all right? Craig says that's perfect. It's very nice. Thank you, Craig. I like to be perfect every now and again. She's enjoying that, and it is amazing to me after they have eaten, even though they don't have to drink, how much time they will spend and how much they seem to be able to fit into their bellies as they drink. Oh, I think she's just heard a vehicle. I don't think she's hearing anything else. Now we have a number of people closing in on the sighting. She's calling again. This is really quite a nice lion sighting. Let's carry on. Well, Well, Craigus, I think we picked to the right side of the lugger/drainage line/ditch. Alright, apparently we're going to go down to South Africa. The robotic voice of Alice said, link Byron and a lion, so something exciting coming your way.
Sorry, James, I'm not too sure what you said there. Now, we've got some Impala out in the clearing here. There's also a wildebeest just off to our right there. You might be able to see him. But, I don't know if you can hear. They're busy alarm calling at the moment. There's also a big herd of waterbuck, and they're all looking intently in this direction. Impala alarm calling. The waterbuck are quiet. They're a bit further away, but they're busy alarm calling at our friend over here. And there's a beautiful male lion lying out in the open. Now, I think this must be the same lion that Tristan had this morning. One of the coalition members we get in this area, and I'm surprised that he is still laying out right in the open. And it's interesting to see how the animals are reacting to him at the moment. A lot of alarm calling, but they're just keeping an eye on him. They are alarm calling, but not moving away. As long as they can see him, they know there's no danger. And he's just put his head down. He actually was sitting with his head up. And that's possibly why they're all alarm calling at the moment. They may stop fairly soon. Sorry. Look at that, everyone. A cuckoo. There's a cuckoo. An African cuckoo. I heard one calling here the other day, and I know some of you have been wanting to see the cuckoos. Yeah. Little African cuckoo perched on the tree. Oh, wonderful. It was a great surprise. Would be nice if it called for us too, but that is an African cuckoo. So for those of you trying to update your cuckoo list, like I said, I'm going to try and see how many we can find. But that's a beautiful view of the African cuckoo right out in the open. This lion still hasn't moved. So I got quite excited there with that cuckoo, because I've been hearing them, but I haven't been able to see one yet or get one on camera, and it sat perfectly in the open. It's now flown off. Lou, will you just repeat that question, please? Sorry, I was distracted by our cuckoo. That cuckoo's still flying around there. Now, Philip, you were asking about that kill that male leopard Tingana had the other day. He had 2 kills, 2 Impala kills, and you were asking if the lions have been known to be scavengers, or is this one of those throw out the textbook events that you don't really hear about? So, lions are very opportunistic, and they will scavenge too. They will definitely scavenge. I have seen lions steal many, many kills from other predators, from wild dog, from leopards, from hyena. So they will, especially male lions. Male lions, if they hear any commotion, they'll often come running in, and because they're so big and powerful, they'll be able to chase away any other predator. So it does happen a lot more than people think. But obviously the lionesses are known for being hunters, but if they come across a kill that's up in the tree, they will definitely steal that kill. I'll try scavenge that kill from the leopard that's put it up there. I've seen it a few times actually. I have seen it, but I've never seen a male lion actually jumping into a tree like it. I've seen lionesses climbing up and trying to get to kills. I've actually a few years ago I got images of a lioness up in a tree with a kill, trying to get to a leopard kill, an old carcass, and it was actually basically hanging, trying to reach this also a marula. Bigger tree is easier to support the lions if they do climb trees to get to a kill, but it's not always easy to do it. Our cuckoo is calling, just to confirm that it is definitely an African cuckoo, if there was any doubt in our minds. Can you hear that? It's a bit faint, and maybe with the wind you might not be able to. What I'll do is let me play the call for you quickly on my app so you can hear it a bit better. I think because of the wind, maybe the ambient mic isn't picking it up, but listen to this quickly. Hey, you can hear that now. That's the sound the African cuckoo makes. Similar to that of a African hoopoe. I was discussing it the other day. The hoopoe, though, has got 3 hoots, and the cuckoo only gives 2 hoots. Somebody that might not give a hoot at all is Tayla, and she's apparently found some elephant.
Oh dear, well, Tayla tries to fight off the gremlins once again. We've got a really, really stunning view to show you. Another spectacular Mara sunset. Let's just take a moment to just soak in the atmosphere. Pretty. Very, very pretty. In the meantime, the big male has got up and joined the others. Well, shame, Chandra. She's trying to relieve herself in privacy.
So sorry.
My train of thought was going in a different direction. I was going to say the males got up to join the rest of the females and the young males feeding. It's an interesting dynamic. And yes, the sunset is absolutely stunning. It's an interesting dynamic. Look at that. Nasty injury above his eye. He's quite a beaten up male. That's going to scar. Hey, we're trying to look at your face, mister. Oh, Tula Ann. Now, Tula Ann is 5 years old, and Tula Ann would like to know if we ever cry because we've seen a really sad sighting or we've seen an animal that's been hurt. I've cried in the past, definitely, with different sightings. Sometimes I've actually cried because I'm happy as well, like with the baby elephant that we saw that took its first little baby steps. It was so special to me that I found myself getting very, very emotional. And yes, we also get attached to the animals. We see them every day. We understand that they're wild and that this is the way things things are out here. But sometimes, yes, it does hurt us to see them hurt or to see them die. Absolutely it does. And we do find ourselves becoming very, very sad. It's always difficult to watch, especially for some of us. We have certain favorite animals. I've cried over rhino before. I've cried because I saw a hyena with a snare around its neck, which is from people, and we couldn't find it and we couldn't help it, and I was very, very worried about it. So yes, absolutely we do. We have to remember that it's wild and that nature knows what she's doing, but that doesn't mean we don't have to have emotions at all about the whole thing. So of course, it's okay to cry about those sorts of things. It's okay to feel sad, and it's okay to feel happy and joyous. We wouldn't be human if we didn't. So do I feel sad for the buffalo? Yes, in a way. Absolutely. But not too sad, because it's the part of life. And it's the way that things go, and the lions have to eat. And it's just one of those things. Which sort of brings us quite neatly around to K-Mix's question. It depends on the origin of the sickness, but yes, especially within the Masai Mara itself, the Kenyan approach to treating animals is subtly different to that in South Africa. In South Africa, if the sickness, the disease, is caused by human intervention, which a lot of the time when it comes to disease, it actually is, due to the fact that, for example, you get things like stray dogs or feral dogs and feral cats moving into an area, passing on things like rabies. So yes, in those sorts of situations, absolutely, the animal will be treated. If it's a natural disease, like mange in South Africa, no, then the animals are not. The Kenyan approach is slightly different. And VM's favorite phrase is that the animals here have very good medical aid. So they do get treated for natural injuries as well. Usually, to be completely honest, if it's an animal like a lion or a cheetah or a leopard or something that people see and respond to, a sick buffalo or an injured buffalo or an injured zebra typically will not get treatment in this particular area. But an injured lion with a bad infection, yes, would get treated. And if this injury is going to heal up perfectly on its own, but if he were to get an infection, that's exactly how Scar ended up with his Scar, or Scarface, the male lion. And he was treated, and he was put on a course of, well, he was given a serious dosage of antibiotics to help to clear up the infection. Their immune systems and their resistance to those sorts of things is far superior to our own in terms of what they are capable of dealing with, though. That is going to heal up no problem. I don't think it's even going to get infected. He's going to be a very cool looking lion, actually. It's interesting. The dynamics of lions out here I find quite fascinating. To me, he's got quite a small mane. I haven't had a proper look at him, so I wouldn't be able to say if that's because he's still young or if he's older than he looks. He doesn't have a particularly full mane, but genetics, sometimes male lions just don't. Some males have more impressive manes than others. I really need to have a look at his teeth to gauge how old he is. But what fascinates me is his relationship with these young males. Because to me, this male is too young, from what I can see, to be the father. Yet he's treating them like his sons. So there's some really interesting dynamics, and obviously we don't know absolutely everything there is to know about the lives of these animals and the dynamics of these animals. I'm going to puzzle over it a little bit more. In the meantime, Tayla is with some lions that are busy creating the next generation.
Well, I was going to try and play a trick on Alice, who's directing today, and just sit quietly. But I thought the gremlins have been so nasty. I thought that I will be nice. But here we are. We're sitting with a male lion and a lioness who is quite concealed in the long grass. And it's apparently the same mating pair that Scott and Sebastian have been seeing. And she does not look like she's interested at all in mating, but from what I remember, it seemed like they were at sort of the end of their honeymoon phase now, and I'm sure soon they will part ways, and this lioness will regroup with whichever pride she belongs to. And I suspect that this male is probably one of the triangle boys. I'm not sure. I don't know which one it is. It's not the tailless male. He's got quite a distinct notch in this left ear of his. And of course, he's turned his head around. He's definitely an older boy, a more mature boy, probably between about 8 and 9 years old, somewhere around there. And he is listening around. And this is the time of the night that typically you'll hear lions roaring. It's just as the sun is starting to set. He doesn't look too impressed, though. He's actually got that typical buffalo look on his face at the moment. Maybe he's exhausted, probably a little bit hungry, especially if he has been mating for the last couple of days. But eyes closing every now and then. Maybe he's going to go back to sleep. I did see a bit of movement from the lioness. She started to roll around, just a little bit twitching of the ears. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to see them mate. I've only seen the Chelly boys, those 2 young males, and mating with a lioness quite close to hippo pools. I think that's all the mating lions I've actually seen since I've been here. It would be quite nice to see something like that. It's normally quite spectacular, and well, I don't think it'll be too spectacular now, seeing as though they're at the end of their mating phase. But he's a very handsome lion. He's very pretty. I love the different colors that he has in his mane, with a dark and the sort of blonde coming through as well. He's just gazing across us. Now, this area is actually quite high in sort of high density in terms of lions. So, no wonder he's just having a little look about. I often hear lions roaring from this corner, and so the pride's having vocal disputes. Sorry, I forgot what word I was going to try and use there for a minute. And for their resits. But he's quite far away. They're not too close to the road. So unfortunately we can't go any closer, which is a bit sad. We're in the non-off-roading area, so you can see how far away we are. And that's dramatic, hey? The sky is honestly beautiful. It's on fire in the corner, in the western section there, along the escarpment. Or maybe that lion, maybe he's not listening. Maybe he's just decided to sit up and enjoy the beautiful sunset for a change. Here you go. You can just see the sun now peeping. And in a couple of minutes, it is going to disappear completely behind the horizon. Now, Larry, you're wondering who normally stops the mating process? Is it the male or the female? It's just the female's hormones probably aren't as high as what they normally are, so she's not in that estrus period. And if she's not in estrus, there's no point in that male mating with her. Well, they do go into false estrus, of course. I don't think that that's the case over here. So it's just the end of the time that she's in season, and then they'll go ways. You might find, because he won't be so obsessed with her now. Initially, when we see males showing interest in females, when they're just starting to come into estrus, those poor girls can't even lift their heads without the males jumping up and, wondering what's going to happen, if anything's going to happen. He almost forgets about her towards the end. And then lionesses will just often just sneak off one night, and he won't be too bothered to follow. But again, it does take it out of them. It's an exhausting process. They don't often eat during those couple of days either. Sometimes they do, and they'll happily share a kill, but like I said, it's quite common for them to just go for a couple of days without eating at all. They might, just be in a complete deep sleep, and then that lioness can get away. It's a bit of a pain. I feel sorry for the lionesses every now and then watching it, especially the young been mated with before. That first time must be very frustrating, and it's probably